Welcome to The Fight with Teddy Atlas, presented by Dynamic Striking. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by the voice of combat sports, the great Teddy Atlas. Teddy, how you doing?
Good. I feel like a twin. I feel like your twin. Your East Coast twin. We're dressed in black, and you look a little better than me, but that's kind of.
No, you look great.
That's granted. But and a little serious note, not a little serious note, but a very serious note. Real quick, I just want to send our prayers and thoughts out to all the people in the Ukraine that are going through what they're going through over there. We know, obviously, there's a lot of. We do a boxing show. We do a UFC, MMA show. We do a live show. We talk. We try to connect the dots between the fights in the ring and the fights of life. And there's no greater fight going on, or more serious a fight going on right now than what's going on in the Ukraine. A fight for your country, a fight for your existence. And so I just want to send for all of us and all our families and all our people that we know. I can take for granted, I think I can assume and just say I'm doing it for all our fans, that they're sending out the same thoughts and prayers to all the people in the Ukraine that are dealing with the invasion that they're dealing with right now over there. So that's it. I'm ready to talk about something less serious, but obviously a little less. And we get reminded of that sometimes every day, that there are things that are greater than the things that we feel are so important to us. There's people that are in situations a lot more dire than even the tough situations that we may face in our daily fights every day. And we should be appreciative and cognizant of that. And I know we are. And this just reminds us of that. So I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, when we watch the fights on Saturdays, Teddy and I never, ever talk about the fights prior to going live, because the point of the show is to get Teddy's reaction from a fan's perspective, me representing the fans. And we haven't spoken about the controversial Josh Taylor decision win over Jack Catterall. We'll get to the decision in a minute, but holy crap, what a fight this was. My God, I think Jack Catterall shocked the crap out of some people. I'm sure he wasn't shocked. I think he took step-aside money earlier to let Taylor take his last fight, I think against Ramirez. But nevertheless, he gets his shot. He delivered. What a performance in Glasgow in front of Taylor's fans. And Taylor wins a very close decision. One judge had it for Catterall. I thought Catterall edged it. I thought it was razor-thin margin, very, very close. The fans in the UK were enraged. I can't remember them being so upset about a decision, and I'm with them. I just think there's been worse. There's been more egregious decisions. Again, I'm dying to hear your thoughts, Teddy, because I have no idea what you thought. I know you went back and watched it and scored it. But with that being said, the British Board of Controls has announced that, or British Boxing Board of Controls has announced that they're going to investigate. They want a report from the judges. Even the fact that they're asking for a report from the judges is at least a step in the right direction, and have people justify their scorecards should be happening at every fight that there's controversy. Nevertheless, what'd you think? Who'd you think won the fight?
Reminded me a little bit of Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. And, it was a huge upset, as you said, huge. And, it was almost a huge upset, I'm sorry. And it was along the lines of what was happening with Kambosos and Teofimo that wasn't supposed to be happening. You're supposed to watch the fight and watch Teofimo get rid of the guy, in 1 or 2 rounds, blow him out of there. And what happens? The opposite. And then Kambosos winds up pulling it off, drops him. Southpaw drops him. And here you have the same thing. In to a certain extent, you have Catterall, Southpaw, big underdog. He drops him. Not supposed to be in the ring with him. And the only difference, of course, was the outcome, that he didn't get the upset, but he got something pretty close to it. His stock raised. He got everyone's attention. In some ways, I know this sounds crazy, Ken, but what's your feeling about this? I mean, to have a discussion on this. In some ways, it almost did him better fight.
Nah, I know what you're saying, but I'm sorry. That was for all the belts. All the belts.
No, of course you got to win, and you want to win. Yeah. But it's still it almost does him better in a way where the attention that he's getting from this is even greater than he would have gotten just from winning.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, if he won, listen, he's celebrating in his home country, and and boxing takes note, but it doesn't get the bullhorn effect that this is getting. It doesn't.
Yes, but you would be the first one to say when someone gets screwed out of a job, out of a fight like this, he might not go back to the back of the line, but the chances of getting all the belts. Because the other guy, Taylor says he's moving up. Now all the belts go back to the sanctioning bodies. They go through their bullshit.
But this guy's at the front of the line now. This guy has everyone's attention. This guy will never be at the back of the line unless he loses after this, one or two. Yeah. But no, listen, this guy's
even at the front of the line though. All the titles were on all the bullshit you have to go to get them together.
But this guy is in the front of the line. He's gonna get something. If it's not a rematch, it's gonna be a title fight. He's gonna get something, and he might even get a reversal in a decision because politics involved. Who knows? I'm not saying he will.
Could you imagine?
But I'm telling you, he's gonna get something. He's gonna get something dramatic because it's dramatic, because they're making it dramatic. And you know what? I don't think it belongs dramatic. I as you said, I agree. I've seen much worse. Much worse. I mean, I'll probably see worse next week, because you can count on that.
Long enough.
Yeah, stick around. Yeah, you can count on that. When I was calling fights at ESPN for over 20 years, every week I would say, well, yeah, this is terrible, but next week will be worse because it happened again. And it's not near the worst at all. When I rewatched it, and I had to rewatch it because of the outcry, I figured it'd be fair. I had Catterall winning by 1 or 2 points, and I had some even rounds in there that belonged in there. Yeah. I had him winning, technically. But it reminds me of some way, and I don't care if you get your freaking little penknives out now and you're ready to poke me. Well, I got holes all over me. It don't matter. I take a drink of water and I sprinkle. It's okay. Go ahead. But be reasonable a little. I know fans are unreasonable, but be a little rational, a little reasonable with what I'm about to tell you. Just hear it. Don't just feel it. Hear it. And what I'm saying is, I mean, it's reminiscent of, you go back to Trinidad and De La Hoya. And, yeah, De La Hoya technically won that fight. But he lost the right to really complain and to really revolt against it because of the way he behaved the last 3 rounds. He didn't try to win. He tried to survive. He just ran. And it blew the fight for him. But it blew his right to really, really be up in arms. And all I'm saying is that Catterall behaved like a guy at a certain point. He drops him. He's dominating the first 9 rounds, 8 rounds, whatever. And he behaved like a guy that already won it. I got news. He should listen to Yogi Berra. It ain't over till it's over. And he should understand that you have to fight a full fight. And by him behaving, I'll use the word behave, by being so defensive, going into the prevent defense the way that he did, like a football team, and, just not really keeping the offense going, like shutting the offense off. He picked a few spots here and there, but for the most part, going so defensive, I think that is what allowed, obviously, Taylor to come on a little bit down the stretch, or maybe a lot down the stretch, putting pressure on, being a bigger man, coming forward, push. But it was a funny fight. You have to keep your emotions in check because Taylor was horrible. And the first thing I got to say, I got to get my British, brothers and sisters over there. I got my Brits over there, my English brethren over there. Listen, guys, I called it and you guys trounced me that Taylor was overrated. And you trounced me for it. And I said, I felt I felt he got a gift here. He got a gift with Ramirez. I thought he would have lost because the referee, I know he fought a good fight, but Ramirez, I thought, was going to win that fight. He got dropped twice. That's what took the fight away from him. But that second knockdown when he got caught that uppercut because the referee tapped him on the back and he loosened up a little bit, that cost him. I don't care what you say. Yeah, you got to be alert at all times. Yeah, you got to protect yourself at all times. I'm with you. I got it. You guys started all that stuff with the Marcus of Queensberry rules. All right. But he could have easily lost that Ramirez fight. And I just thought he was overrated. And this Ben Davis said, I'm not looking to knock, but I'm looking to tell the truth. I don't know what he's doing, but I know he wasn't getting the greatest navigation in a corner because I thought in some ways he looked better when he was with his prior trainer, McGuigan, whoever it was. I don't even know.
McGuigan.
But, okay, I'll just touch on that quick because I try to touch on everything for the people out there. We try to be the X-ray machine, but and touch on things other people leave alone because it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. Too many haters are going to come out. Too many knives are going to come out. Bows and arrows. Everything else. And I might have to cook crumpets again. I get it. And I don't want to have to cook crumpets again. But I'm ready. At the end of the day, he was smothering himself. He looked like a maniac. I mean, he was going out like a deranged man, Taylor being he, where not a professional, like he was out of control. Like he looked like the guy from that movie Shining, Jack Nicholson from the movie Shining, when he lost his mind. When he was in that hotel all alone with his wife and his wife's child, and he lost his mind. Remember, he used a hatchet to break through the door, and then Jack Nicholson is the greatest for looking crazy, and he's got his head and his hair is all disarray, and he's got his head through there, and he goes, "Hello, Johnny."
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, here's
Johnny.
He looked like that. He looked like a deranged man, like he's just trying to get to this guy for freaking blood, and that's not what a professional fight is all about. So he was smothering himself, overshooting himself, missing, going too close with the jab, falling in with the jab, falling in with everything. Couldn't even get the body shot. He landed body shots, but he couldn't consistently land body shots, when he was on the inside because he was smothering himself, because he was too anxious. I mean, I don't know why they didn't talk about this more in the commentating, but that's not my problem. My problem is to bring it to you guys what I think should be brought to you guys. And that's what I saw. I saw just a guy in Catterall that was gritty. He came to win. Yes, you're supposed to do that. You're not supposed to get a bonus for that. But a guy that was smaller, not as strong. I mean, Taylor was so much bigger, so much stronger. It's almost like he was depending just on that. Like he was going to be the bigger, stronger guy who's going to go in there and go home and then just blow the guy out of the water. And he behaved like that. And it didn't work. He should have went to the body more. He should have used the jab from a farther distance to keep the smaller guy at the end of his jab. But he didn't do that. And I thought that all night long, he used a simple combination. Was incredible that nobody mentioned. I was like, all he's using, Catterall, is an uppercut, a combination starting with an uppercut and finishing with a straight left hand from the southpaw position. And he's making him eat left hands all night long. Taylor's eating them the way I ate the crumpets, And I'm not looking to eat crumpets anymore right now. But he ate them all night. And then he got dropped. But that was the simple formula. He was able to pull it off. He was able to counterpunch. He was able to get off first with quick punches and score. But he did a lot of grabbing, and so did the other guy. The other guy was falling in, smothering himself. They were grabbing. Where I disagree with you, Ken, at the top. It wasn't a good fight. It wasn't a great fight. It was the only thing that allowed you to tolerate it to a good fight was the fact that there might be an upset taking place, a huge upset.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, I think so. It kept you there. But other than that, if that's not for the title, if that's not where there's a guy that's a huge underdog, you're looking at all this grabbing and everything else.
Oh, that's a good point. What'd you make of the ref? Took a point from each fighter.
Nobody mentioned that he allowed Catterall to punch him in the head when he was on the floor. What about that? He took a point. Yeah. Nobody mentioned that. Somebody should have mentioned, they're supposed to be there to mention these things. That not only did he take a point from each guy, he was out of control, the ref. He thought you were there to watch him instead of watch a title fight. And someone's got to remind these refs. No, we're not there to remind you. We're actually, just like you got to remind commentators sometimes that, hey, we're not really here to just for you. We're here to hear the fight. We're here to watch the fight. We got eyeballs. And when there's a knockdown, you really probably shouldn't speak through the knockdown. Do you disagree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do I hear an amen? Do I hear an amen? Do I hear an amen?
Amen. I wish that all Joe Tess's overreactions weren't scripted and canned. It just sounds like he's waiting for which punchline he's going to use at a knockout. It's like none of it seems sincere or organic. It just seems like everything is a pre-rehearsed.
Well, listen, I'm not here to tear him apart. He can do that himself. Other people can do that if they want to. You know what I mean? But he's not important enough for me to do that. Just to point out what I had to point out, because I think that is fair. But again, you got him using the same combination all night. He's allowed to do that. It can't be a great fight. There's too much grabbing, too much holding, too much. Yeah. And Taylor did more swinging him around and out-muscling him on the inside and roughing him up and mugging him or trying to mug him on the inside than he did punching. And
he had like a bully mentality all night, trying to be roughhouse, being
dirty. Of course, and that's going to backfire on you. That's going to because you're so set for him to collapse that he don't collapse, and you're not ready for what you should have been ready for and need to be ready for anytime you get in that ring or you get into a fight, for the other guy to obviously oppose you in the way that he opposed him, to obviously, be able to, fight you back the way he did, and to use your tools, not to go down and throw all the tools out of the tool freaking box and go to just looking to pummel the guy. You're supposed to have more tools and bring those tools, and he didn't. He wasn't able to because of his mindset of what I said. He was he was Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And at the end of the day, having said that and breaking the fight down, I think the right way, the way I just did, again, technically, I went back, I looked, said, he won by 1 or 2 points, he being the underdog, Catterall. But if he didn't shut it down, and I know people say, well, why should he have to keep going when he knows he's ahead? Because these things happen. Because you're supposed to continue going. Because that's your obligation. Your obligation is not to be reckless, not to be stupid, not to walk into punches, not to throw it away. But when you're in someone else's hometown and you're on their network, let's break this down really. What we're dealing with here, you're fighting on the other guy's network with as the guest, as the opponent, where the other guy's promoter is running the show. The commentators are part of that. Everyone. Yeah, the commentators will give you a little tap dance of say a little something, but they're never going to really, really go out there because they know who their boss is. Their boss is the promoter and the network. That's their boss. And so they give you a little something, but they're not going to go out there and tell you, hey, this stinks. This is corruption of boxing. We see it too often. They're not going.
If they do that, they won't be on the network anymore.
Well, they'll be like me.
Seen that play out a few times.
They'll be like me. And they're smarter than me. I'm dopey. I still haven't gotten a memo. I'm a little slow. I'm a little slow with that stuff. But so they got ESPN. So what? I got you.
That's right.
Who's doing better? I'm doing better. Who's doing better? I got you. And I got a haircut from your barber once a month. Come on. They can't match that. So and I have what I believe is what I want to have. My respect, my dignity of what I believe is what I need to be. And that's just, it's kind of like those commercials they used to do. That's priceless. There's no no matter what the check is at the end of the day, nothing is bigger than that. So yeah, it wasn't the worst though. Yeah, the other guy should have got it. And yeah, when you're fighting the other guy's promoter, they're gonna favor him. They're gonna do whatever they can. That's the way it is. But the worst, no. Hey, listen, I'm not going to stop the guy, the politician, and say, hey, you shouldn't go for this one. There's been ones worse than that. Go ahead. Go to Congress or the whatever that is.
Parliament.
Yeah, go to Parliament over there. Do whatever you can, because there is a problem with boxing. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the promoter does have too much sway and has the control and they can cover it with their people that are doing the fight. They're never going to let it get too loud. They're never going to let it get too loud. If someone does, like I said, they're going to be exiled over to a podcast with Ken Rideout. But that's okay. That's okay because you know what? Look at us. We got all these fans. We got 234,000 or whatever it is subscribers. It's growing every day. We got like 46 million downloads. We have advertisers, sponsors. We have you. The people. All the people out there that keep coming. And if you keep coming, we're going to stay. We take our orders from you. You keep coming. You keep subscribing. We're going to stay with you because we love you and we appreciate you. And we appreciate that we can say what we believe to be true without repercussions. Except, you guys throwing those darts at me that you throw from across the pond. But that's okay. That's all fun and love, for the most part. Some of it gets a little crazy, but it's good. It's all good, as we say out there. The belt should have probably been switched, but at the end of the day, you look at some of those fights out there. That are really, and nobody says nothing because they don't get the outcry this one got. This one got the outcry. Obviously, part of it's televised. Part of it is you have the Parliament interaction here that you would never expect. I remember years ago, and Rob will look it up, you'll look it up, but I remember years ago, James Toney was involved with a fighter, and it was down in Atlantic City, and it was I don't know if it was for the middleweight title, it probably was, that Tony had. Tony, a hell of a fighter, but everyone thought that this long shot won the fight. I'm trying to remember who he was, but everyone was going crazy. And there was a congressman or a senator, some politician that happened to either be at the fight or see the fight. And he went crazy. He said, I'm going to Congress. I'm going to the Senate. I'm going to the White House. And we're going to change this. Boxing is a corrupt sport. We cannot tolerate this. And, it got everyone's attention for about 5 minutes. And then everything calmed down. And guess what? Somebody got robbed the following week. I don't mean to laugh, but I'm speaking of real stuff here.
James Toney, decision over the challenger, David Tiberi.
There it is.
And Senator William Roth, a Republican from Delaware, decrying an outrageous miscarriage of justice. It's time for the powers to be in professional boxing. It's a time that the powers that be in professional boxing learn about fighting fairly. And said he's going to take it to this. Oh, that's a speech he gave on the Senate floor.
Yeah, there it is. Bring out the guillotine. Bring it out. I mean, but meanwhile, here we are. Here we are,
only
Kenneth.
30 plus years ago.
Yeah, and here we are, Kenneth. The same. Just run it again. Run it again. The same thing. I've been screaming about this forever.
I guess Taylor was just barely made the weight, and after the fight, obviously.
But he looked so strong. He looked so strong, and so much stronger, Ken, than the other guy. And that was a curse for him because that's all he wanted to be. He just wanted to be stronger. He didn't look to be better. He just looked to be stronger.
Yeah. Interesting, though, to see I think that was the first fight with Davison, but there were a lot of people pointing out that Ben Davison hadn't looked good with his recent fights with Billy Joe Saunders, with Tyson Fury, that a number of fighters.
Listen, I didn't come here to knock him, but
I know you didn't, but I'm just
but
telling you
you're
what
right.
people are talking
You
about.
should do what you're doing. You're my partner. You're supposed to be. You're doing that part of the show with me to bring this up so we can have interaction about this. What I am saying is, he seems like a cheerleader more than he does a strategist or a technician. A guy that opens up the hood to the car and, changes the spark plugs and, gets the cylinders, running the right way. He doesn't seem to be capable of that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can only go by what I see and have seen. I haven't seen a huge body of work of his, but what I've seen, that's a little bit of what I feel.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's next for both of those guys. Let's talk about the upcoming UFC main event, Covington versus Masvidal. But before we do, one thing that Josh Taylor probably could have done to help make weight is to make sure he was taking his Athletic Greens. One of our favorite sponsors, Teddy. I know you love this stuff. It tastes great. I take it every morning. One scoop to keep you on track. Got multiple servings of fruits and vegetables in here. These guys spent about 10 years with top nutritionists getting this formula dialed in. They've got a rebranded green bag. This stuff is awesome. I travel with it everywhere I go. I know I sound like a broken record every week when I talk about them, but I love this stuff. How have you been doing? You been taking it?
Yeah, it's really good, solid stuff. It's kind of like being a trainer. When you talk about as a trainer, if you're a real trainer, you talk about having a foundation, having a balance, having your legs in right position. You can't do anything without a good foundation. You could have the fastest hands in the world, the most power in the world upstairs, but you're not going to be able to use what you have upstairs unless downstairs is right. And this takes care of downstairs.
Yep.
It takes care of the foundation that you have what you need. You have the food, the proper nutrition in you early in the day that you need to go through your freaking day. That's what it is.
Yep.
And I'll finish with this, my own little touch. Although that was my touch, but that if Taylor had it, he would have been a little bit. He still would have smothered himself. He still would have overshot his punches because he wasn't taught that. You got to be taught that. But he would have done it at a better pace.
I'm sure. athleticgreens.com/Atlas for 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. Again, athleticgreens.com/Atlas for 10 free travel packs with your Athletic Greens first order. All right, let's get into this UFC match. What are you looking for with Colby Covington versus our friend Jorge Masvidal, friend of the show?
I'm going to be out there covering it for ESPN.
So I'm jealous.
So I'm going to be out there. I'm going to cover ESPN. You figure it out. 50 years in the boxing game, they send me out to UFC fights. I don't know. I mean, but I'm glad because I think
the promoter of UFC actually likes you, though. I don't know about the boxing situation.
But
something
maybe.
Something strange going on there.
Could be.
They'd use you in that sport, not the other.
You could be onto something, Sherlock. Captain Obvious. But anyway, no, listen. I love hey, I love the sport now. I love the fighters in the UFC just like I love the fighters in boxing. And I'm honored. I'm privileged that they want me out there to talk a little bit. And I'm going to be with Chael Sonnen, one of the greats in the business, and with Charlie
the bad guy.
Yep, and Charlie Monahan, one of the great producers, directors in the business, in boxing and in MMA. So I'm going to be really, I'm just privileged. I'm with good people. And it's going to be a great fight. It's supposed to be a great fight. It should be a great fight. A lot of interest. Covington draws people. You hate him or he's like Muhammad Ali. He goes by the Muhammad Ali, way and philosophy of people are going to come. They're either going to hate me or they're going to love me, but they're going to come and buy a ticket. And he knows how to get that storm going. And they got a storm going between him and Masvidal, who used to be teammates. But
teammates, they were like best friends.
Yeah.
Best friends.
Exactly. So Covington, in the analysis, the obvious, I'm not telling you anything that everyone doesn't know. He's the better wrestler. He was a tremendous collegiate wrestling champion, Division I. He's a guy that his part of his game plan is going to be put on pressure, steady pressure. I think he needs to do it, not reckless pressure, steady pressure behind the jab. And then get takedowns when he can. Get to shoots, get takedown. Now, the one thing that's opposing him, Masvidal can't match him for, his prowess on the mat, but he's very good at defending takedowns. Very good. He showed that with Usman, too, in the first fight when he wasn't in top shape. So he's good at escapability, kind of like Kyle Murray, the great quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, John Elway years ago. They know how to escape the sack. He's good at that. He's going to have to be good at that. He's going to come in with steady pressure, I believe. Covington, look to get takedowns if he can get in the geography he wants. That suits him for his skills. And he's a guy with a motor that doesn't stop. He's got that cardiovascular, kind of like Neil Armstrong had it in, you know about that better than I do in cycling. He had that extra lung. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, yeah, Teddy did steroids. But before that, let's put that aside. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, Ken. He had that extra lung. He had that capacity to really, really go up the mountains, probably better than most, or maybe anybody.
He had the super high VO2 max, one of the highest ever measured, and that's the real measure of an endurance athlete is the VO2 max, like how much oxygen. I think that's how much oxygen they're getting in each breath, maybe within in the blood. But it has to do with work capacity, and like Nordic skiers, cross country skiers historically have the highest, and then cyclists. But yeah, Lance, when they measured him at the Olympic Training Center in his early days, they knew right away that he was one, because it's like a metric that you can point to and say, if this guy stays with it, this is an elite athlete.
And I'm sorry for calling him. I'm sorry for calling him an astronaut. I meant Lance Armstrong. Not. I mean, I know people say he's in space, and I'm sorry. I mean, he's not in outer space. He's here, and I guess he still rides a bike in his spare time. But
he's a venture capitalist now, investing in sports health and wellness.
Well, there it is, making a lot of money still as he did before. But I would say, tell me if this is fair, Ken. I would say Covington's in that company of cardiovascular advantage, capacity.
Yeah. He clearly has a high work rate, so he's as fine-tuned as cardiovascularly as an athlete can be, I think, in the cage.
Yeah, so I that's what I say. So I think that he's going to look to grind. He's going to look to put the steady pressure, try to wear down Masvidal. And Masvidal is a big underdog. What is it, 3-1 or something? I know you look at it while I'm talking, but I know he's a big underdog. And
I got the line right now. Is Masvidal's plus 250, Covington is minus 320.
Yeah, so I was right there. I was saying 3-1. So when at the end of the day, they're both going to try to play into their strengths. As I said, Covington, get the takedowns, come in, don't get careless, try not to get hit too much. One of the things with Covington, a southpaw, he gets hit a lot of right hands. And he got a broken jaw in the first Usman fight. He got hit a lot of right, but to his credit, he was still there going the distance against Usman in Madison Square Garden in a remarkable fight, a remarkable night, a remarkable card that the UFC puts on a lot. And they put one on that night where it was all great fights and drama. And that's why they're doing so good, in the world, if you will. And come from where they've come from to really pass boxing when it comes to the ratings on regular shows. Not when you're putting on, if you put Joshua on, with Fury. Of course, that's a different ballgame. Or Canelo with the right guy. That's a different universe. But on the whole, they gotta, and their pay-per-view with their fights. I mean, they're doing better than boxing. I mean, their pay-per-view is much better, much higher numbers. But to get to the fight again, that's what Covington's going to look to do, I believe, and needs to do. And he needs to avoid some of those right hands because that's Masvidal's chance to land a good straight right hand. He's a good striker. He's creative. He's got pretty good legs. He's 37 years old, I know, but he's going to need those legs. He's going to need to keep range. He's going to need to keep distance, separation, and he's going to need to make Covington pay a price for real estate. Charge him a couple right hands for every foot that he tries to gain in that octagon coming forward. Charge him for real estate. Not money, but punches. He's going to need the right hand. He's going to need the jab to keep the right hand keep the range to set up that right hand. He's going to need that jab to keep that range. He's going to need a little recklessness from Covington coming in. And he's going to need to do what people do against southpaws. Use that southpaw killer, the right hand. And Covington, as I just said, he gets hit with right hand. So he's going to need to do that, keep separation, have escapability when it comes to the shoots where Covington will try to get him to the mat. If he can do that, it's going to be a hell of a fight, a very interesting fight. I don't think he wants a slugfest. Covington will deal with a slugfest. I think Masvidal wants to be able to get more of a boxing match in the way that he can. He'll deal with what he has to deal. They're all tough guys. But I think he needs more of that. Now, here's the X factor. Here's the intangible. The mental side. Who's better? Well, Covington is coming off a really good fight going the distance with Usman. He got stopped the first time late in the fight, got a broken jaw, came off going the distance. And the first fight, some people thought he was winning the fight or possibly winning the fight. So he's come off something that's got to make him feel damn good mentally. And, of course, Masvidal is coming from the worst place, getting knocked out cold in the second round with one clean right hand in that fight. And he's got to get rid of the bats in the belfry, the ghost in the attic from that fight. That's what he's got to do. That's part of it. The mental part is a big part of it. Where will he be? Now, most people are going to say you got to favor Covington. I don't blame them. I don't disagree. And what about the hunger factor? Who's hungrier? Masvidal made a lot of money the last couple of years. He had Dana White over barrel in that first Usman fight where somebody dropped out and it was a big fight. They needed a big name, and he was able to get the money that he probably wouldn't have gotten if he didn't have him in that kind of pickle. So he's made a lot of money. So you would think Covington, this is Covington's chance to go to the dance, to step to that kind of to that kind of zip code, that area code, kind of like the Jeffersons. I love the Jeffersons. Remember them years ago? Moving on up, moving on up, to the east side. To the east side. I like that. So he's got a chance to move on up to the east side with the money. And so you would think all that favors him. I got it. I got you. But there's something on Masvidal's side. It's pride. They all have pride. But it's legacy. It's saving it's saving your legacy. It's called redemption. That's what it's called. Where he got knocked out, and he doesn't want to leave that there. He doesn't want to leave that there. And he wants to revive what people think of him, his image, his brand. But him, forget brand, because that implies money. It's deeper than that. It's kind of like when I talked about when I broke down the fight with Fury and Wilder, and I gave Wilder a good chance, and I was right. He came so close. And the reason I gave him a good chance, even though he don't fight nearly as good as Fury, is because it was about redemption. It was about him as a man, as a person, who he was going to be and who he was going to be reminded, who he was going to be remembered as when he walked down the street and people saw him. And when he looked in the mirror, who was he going to be? Was he going to be the guy that was laid out on the floor? Was he going to be somebody else? And that is powerful. That shows up in the ring. It shows up and it fights with you. It helps you. It partners up with you. It's there. It has a say before the night's over. I think it's going to have a say for Masvidal before the night's over. With everything going against him, and I'm ready to accept it. I get it. I'm reasonable sometimes. But I think at the end of the day, Masvidal's gonna strum up everything that he has and that he ever had when he was fighting in those backyard fights, when he was first discovered with Jumbo Slice. What was his name?
Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo Slice,
Yeah.
God rest his soul. He passed away, but he was a legendary guy. He was he was a pioneer of that stuff. And they were doing it on the YouTube, and that's where Masvidal comes from. That's rugged stuff. They all come from rugged stuff. That's rugged stuff. And I think he's going to muster everything he can. Every freaking thing he can. He's gonna call on the cavalry, of every ounce of pride, everything that's left in him, and he's gonna come out and he's gonna fight a really, really, which he's gonna have to, a very disciplined, strategic, but hard, determined, concentrated, laser-like focused fight. Where he's going to use his legs, he's going to keep separation, he's going to look to set up right hands, he's going to look to escape, from the shoots, and I think he's got a good shot, and I love both of them. I think he's got a good shot, but again, you can't be on the fence. You got to pick somebody, or you could be on the fence, but we don't do that here. We don't do that here.
For the guys at MyBookie, check them out at mybookie.ag. We got Masvidal plus 250. Covington minus 320. Given the line and everything you just said, what are you doing?
I'm taking the dog. And I think he's gonna, even if he doesn't win, I'm taking him for the right reason, because I think that he's got the right reason to show up and perform as good as he can at this point in his life. Is it good enough? I'm not sure, but I gotta be sure one thing. It's kind of like in the old days when we used to get tips on horses. And that's why I still have a mortgage. But that's okay. Tips didn't always go that well. But no, I'm only kidding. But we went out there. We said, okay, we got the tip, baby. You know what I mean? We're driving out there in a clunker of a Dodge with one door falling off. We're driving home in a Cadillac. We are, because you're enthused, you're all excited and everything. And then, of course, you're holding that door of the Dodge closed so it doesn't open up on the turnpike, right? So it's okay. But what the tips were all about, really, and all kidding aside, if there wasn't a fix-in, that speaking about boxing,
you mean the only tip that's worth anything is, hey, this is a tip. This is your opinion, or the other horses have bad legs.
That's pretty much it. But the only legitimacy to a so-called tip was that the owner was going all out. that they were going on, because sometimes they use races as get readies for the next. You know what I mean? And so that was really the only legitimacy and anything that was, valid for a tip was we're trying to win. Well, we're giving our best effort. We're not going out there for a workout. And that's kind of what I'm saying here. I feel 100% sure, win or lose, that he's going to be as good as he can be, Masvidal, at this point in his life. And it's going to be that urgent to him. And that he's a smart guy. He's not a dumb guy. He's a creative guy. I think he's going to be creative. He's going to need some flying knees. He's going to need that right hand. He's going to need the legs. He's going to, everything I said. He's going to need the defense from the shoots. But I think he's going to have that in place. And that's all I can ask for in taking a dog, is that I believe that he will be mentally and physically at his utmost. And that's all I can ask for. And I don't know.
Over under 4.5, minus 140 on the over, plus 110 on the under.
Oh, I'm taking the over. I mean, again, you could be wrong. Yeah. But especially in this explosive business, they're wearing 4-ounce freaking gloves. Come on. I mean, come on. They're hitting with elbows. Come on. Yeah. They're hitting with knees. Come on. I mean, yeah, it could definitely be under, but I'm going with the over. I'm going with the technique of this fight, that it's going to have to be paid attention to by both guys, especially Masvidal, because Covington can't get sloppy coming in there to be aggressive either. He's got to be steady. He's got to be, under control behind the jab. If he gets careless, he could get dropped with a straight right hand. He's been hit with a lot of. And I'll tell you one other part to the analysis of this that I don't think anyone's going to touch on this really. Now they might, because a lot of people do listen to the show. Masvidal gets hit with right hands too, as proven in his last fight. He got knocked out cold with the right hand, straight right hand, by the great Usman. But there was a reason for it. He led with a left hook in front, and you never should do that. And he got hit. Nobody pointed this out. And he got hit with a straight right hand. Okay, now, so he gets hit with rights too. But here's the thing. The right hand is not going to be a danger point for him in this fight. And people are going to say, what do you mean, Teddy? What are you talking about? He's fighting a guy with two hands. He's fighting a southpaw. The straight right hand is the danger to Masvidal. When he leads with someone in front with a hook, the straight right hand come down the middle and beats it. He doesn't have to worry about that weapon, about that danger, about that punch. There's no straight rights coming at him Saturday night. Only right hooks. And that's different. That's different. The way you're going to get caught with that is if you're over-aggressive and you get caught maybe on the back end with a counter. And again, if Masvidal is going to have a chance to win this fight, he can't be over-aggressive. He's got to fight on the outside and control things on the outside and not walk into what you would have to do to get hit with a right hook, to get careless and walk into it. So I'm going to say that's a plus. That's a plus for Masvidal. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm picking him.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, one of the things that we always hear back from the fans is that we didn't cover enough. We missed some topics. We only have a couple hours here, but we're going to start a new segment. We're experimenting with some new names, maybe jabs with Teddy or flurries. We're going to do a couple 3-minute
quick
rounds.
Quick hits, whatever.
Quick hits.
Very reminiscent of. And I'm not afraid to say when I'm taking someone else or playing off of someone's idea. I think that's the gentlemanly thing to do. You got the great Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilpon with that great show, Pardon the Interruption. They do something on the clock similar to this, and we're gonna give it a spin.
I'm gonna start. I think Rob's gonna try to get it up on the screen, and there it is. We're going to have 3 minutes per topic. Teddy, I'm going to hit you with some random topics here, and then you'll tell me what you think. And when Rob hits start, I'll ask the question.
All right, baby. How long do I have?
You're going to have 3 minutes
just per like a round.
Topic.
Just like a round in boxing.
That's it.
All right. Okay.
All right. Hit it, Rob. All right, first topic. Islam Makhachev gets a big win over Bobby Green. How'd you like it? What'd you think?
Heir apparent to Habib. Habib. He's unbelievable. Unbelievable. They come from that region of the world. They're warriors. Their mentality, their strength, their physical strength, and their expertise on the mat is second to none. The guy is like a steel trap. When you get in, you don't know it until you know it. When you get in that octagon and they shut that door, you ain't getting out. You ain't getting out. You're in a trap. You're in a trap. The guy's demeanor, his physicality, and his technique make him the heir apparent to the great Khabib.
What do you say to the fans who say he hasn't done enough to deserve a title shot? He's beat everyone convincingly, but not enough guys in the top 10, they say, to deserve a title shot.
Why don't you guys get in with him? See what you're saying then. Or pick your favorite guy and put him in there with him. I'll put him up against anybody right now, just about.
All right, next topic. Hector Garcia stuns Chris Colbert and gets the win. What'd you think of Chris Colbert? He's been talking a lot, and Shakur Stevenson and Errol Spence weighed in saying the guy shouldn't talk so much. He has no dog in him. He was just surviving and never trying to win after he got hurt early.
If you're going to wear blue hair, you got to do better than that. I think that's a good start right there. If you're going to he had blue hair and everything else customized that he was wearing, you got to do better than that. It's not just about how you fight, it's how you behave. And when the moment came, the behavior wasn't what you want to see in a so-called great prospect or next champion. And the commentators over there, I heard them saying for a year now that he's the brightest star coming, the brightest, the best, the most talented. He didn't look like that. I start to wonder about their judgment a little bit now when I see that, to be quite frank. But again, you give him another chance, he's going to get another chance. He is. He's young, he'll get another. But the way he behaved, it wasn't just the way he fought, and one other thing, truth. Truth is important. Truth counts. Honesty counts. Tell the truth. In his corner, he's got a trainer there that's telling him after, I think it was the third round, hey, this guy's starting to punk up already. Punk up? Where did you see punk up? Anywhere in Garcia. And I'd like to know. Maybe I can learn something. Where the hell did you see that? And he says he's starting to punk up. You're going to take him out soon. You're going to get rid of this guy. Well, you know what? You don't lie to your fighter. If you're a trainer, it's like a parent. You lie to your kids, you got problems. You lie to your fighter, you got problems. You tell them the truth. I know everyone wants to be friends nowadays. Oh, I want to be friends. So you stay with them and this way they don't get mad at you and everyone's... No, you want to be a friend, tell them the truth. That's a friend. That's a friend. As a parent, you're going to be buddies? Yeah, you want to be friends with you. Tell them the truth. That's the best friend in the world. He was not told the truth.
Did Colbert look bad, or did Hector Garcia just too much for him?
No, Garcia was a hell of a fighter. I mean, this guy was an Olympian. He had 300 amateur fights. Colbert was a great amateur too, but this guy was even greater, you could say. And he knew how to fight. He was a southpaw, but he knew how to fight. He knew what to do. I mean, he was timing Colbert tried to time him. He timed Colbert. Threw the punches in between punches at the right, caught him clean, acted like he was going low, went high with the left hand, took a little step back, drew Colbert in to reach and get reckless a little bit, counted him with the left hand, dropped him with that punch. I mean, this guy knows how to fight. When he was covered up and he had the earmuffs on, Colbert, what did he do? He hit him behind the ears with shots behind the ears. This guy really knew how to fight. And Colbert, from a technical side, not only didn't get the truth from his trainer, but he doesn't look... He just...
time.
There it is. Finish up on that one. He just doesn't look well-rounded. It's like he's not dimensional. It's just one dimension.
All right, next topic. Gary Antoine Russell beats Viktor Postol. He beat him up pretty good throughout the fight, but Postol, like all Ukrainians, is tough as nails. And the ref steps in and stops the fight. It looked like Russell had him in a little bit of trouble, but I didn't think he should have stopped the fight. I think there might have been 30 seconds left in the fight. What'd you think of the fight, and what'd you think of the stoppage?
I'll start with the last part first. It stopped too soon. You're right. You're on the button. Stopped too soon, but it didn't matter. we were going to get the same result. So that didn't matter. As far as the fight, Russell, he's learning the right way. He's being brought along the right way. He's technically solid. They're doing a hell of a job. It's in the family. The bloodlines are all about, his brother is a former world champion. His father does a great job. It's in the family. And he knows how to fight. It was a good little bit of a test. Postol is definitely in his twilight, maybe past his twilight. He's definitely had his better days, no doubt about that. But he still is a guy that presents a little bit of a puzzle that has to be solved with his style, controlling the outside. He's not as good at it as he used to be when Crawford fought him. He was better at it. But still, it was still something to solve. It was something where you had to show patience. You had to show good technique, good understanding, and Russell showed that.
What'd you make of Shakur Stevenson chiming in on the Chris Colbert thing? I meant to ask you that on the last topic. I know you saw his comments saying that Colbert doesn't have a dog in him, and because Colbert had been saying, crap talking Shakur, and Shakur jumped right in when he saw this performance.
Can't blame them. They're going to do it to each other. They're going to take shots at each other, out there on the social media. That's what athletes do. That's what people do nowadays. And he opened the door for him to do it. He took shots at him being Colbert, took shots at Shakur. He opened the door. You're going to take shots at people. You better be buttoned up in your own home, right? You're going to throw rocks. You better not have a lot of windows. And right? And he had windows. He had a lot of open windows, Mr. Colbert, to allow something to be chucked back at him.
Yep. Oh, that was fun. Maybe in the future we can have fans submit some topics they'd like us to cover quickly at the end, and we'll make that a part of the show. Let's see what the fans have to say.
Please. I want to do one more. I want to add one in. Last week we talked about Amir Khan. Let me just give one real quick.
Yes.
Maybe 1 minute. 1 minute. I only need about a minute on this one. Where a lot of people. I get the fans. I get my great brothers over there across the pond. I get it that you got mad. Few people talk. I don't look at the stuff, but people told me a few disgruntled Brits over there, up in arms about me saying Amir Khan wasn't great. Well, he wasn't great. Okay, he had 6 losses and. He got knocked out 5 times, if my memory's right. He had 6 losses, got knocked out 5 times. To be great, you have to, not only shouldn't you get knocked out 5 times, forget that, but you have to beat great fighters. Or put it this way, you have to beat the best fighters out there that you fight. Whoever you're fighting, who's the best fighters on your resume, you have to beat most of them. He didn't beat them. All the top guys that he fought, if you look at his record, he lost to and he got knocked out by most of them. All right? You can't, even if you want to do that, you can't honestly do that just because he's British and say he's great and, anoint him up there with the Sugar Ray Robinsons and whatever and say, oh, yeah, this guy. You can't do that when he doesn't beat the best guys that he fights. All the best talent that he fought, he lost to. He lost to all of them. He didn't beat one top fighter. Yeah, there's a couple there you say, oh, wait. No. All the top guys he fought, he lost to. All right? Put that in your crumpet and try it instead of some preserves. All right? I'm sorry. I love you guys.
I also want to say to the people who wrote in the comments, there was a few people say that we have Teddy has an anti-Brit view. Is insane. You think that we care about where a fighter comes from? We talk about character and ability, and that's it.
I love the Brits.
The two of us have better things to do than to hate people because of where they're from, and that goes for Canelo as well. We appreciate Canelo for what he is. It's like we just giving our opinions, and to think we don't like someone because of the country they're from is insanity.
Please.
You obviously don't know us and don't pay attention.
Just because it's too foggy and too damp over there, and I need a coat when I go. I didn't. I'm just kidding.
You better be careful. You're going over there.
I'm going over there, guys. I don't know. Maybe later we might give more particulars. Not right now. We not the mood you're in right now. But in late April, I will be going over there for a week to speak at different places over there. They've asked me to do that. They're making arrangements to bring me over there to do that. We'll see. But it may be a hidden bunker beneath the soil somewhere. I don't know yet.
Yeah, well, we'll keep you posted on that. And once again, like Teddy said at the top of the show, prayers up for Ukraine. Hopefully this thing ends with just a lot of posturing. There's already been enough fighting. I don't see the purpose of this. I mean, the publicity and the PR that Putin is getting for this is just horrendous. I don't think it represents the opinions of the Russian people. It's just, man, I hope everyone's okay. And speaking of, Postol had that on his mind. He was trying to get back to Ukraine as soon as the fight was over. I know there's a lot of people over there now fighting for their freedom, as you would expect. So hope everything works out there, and prayers to the Ukrainians and especially all the Ukrainian fighters over there. With that, Teddy, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, the only thing is we went over real quick about, the referee in the Catterall fight.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, you scored the fight.
Oh, yeah.
We got a new bounty. We got a new bounty sponsorship. Bounty toilet paper or bounty paper towels.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I did it for you guys. I did it for your fans. If this doesn't show love, nothing shows love, okay? Because I went back, I had already seen the fight the day before. I watched it again last night, Sunday night. Nobody's around. And I'm watching, and I'm looking for something at the last second. I said, wait a minute, I got to score it. So I looked for something. This is what I found. Okay. This is what I found. I found a piece of toilet paper. Not toilet paper. Bounty paper towel. I'm sorry. And no, I didn't blow my nose in it. No, I didn't. But it's crumbled. And so I wrote it down, and it was tough to see, But I made little remarks to myself. Like in the 6th round, I said, first of all, a lot of the rounds were hard to decipher. That's why I had a couple even rounds. They were hard. They were close. But it wasn't a lot being done. A lot of mugging, a lot of grabbing, a lot of overshooting punches, and just physicality and craziness by Taylor. On the other side, the same combination all night, and he was scoring, Catterall. But he also went too defensive, I thought. Like I said earlier, before it was over, and hurt himself a little bit. But even with that, he still won some rounds late, which I thought, was the reason gave it to him. But a lot closer. Not the robbery they talk. Again, I gave it to Catterall. I made a remark, like I said, in the 6th round. It was a clear round. Not all of them were clear. It was a clear round for Catterall. I made another remark in the 9th round where everybody sort of gave all the late rounds to Taylor automatically. Yep. I made a little remark here. Okay, I'm going to give it to Taylor, but it's very close. And I think it was the 9th round that I did that. And then, of course, you had the point deductions, which got everything cockeyed. And but it was even. They each got a point deduction. At the end, I had it a 1 point or 2 point fight at the end. I have it written here 115, 113, only because believe it or not, I made the last round even. Because as much as he was being physical, here's the trick. Here's the thing that I think is important, Ken, that everybody was looking at the aggression. And there's no doubt that the aggression was there from Taylor, the physicality, the attitude, the pressing forward, but it was reckless aggression. It was not effective aggression. And even though he was aggressive down the stretch, I took it as being out of control. I took it as being urgent, kind of proving that they thought he was losing a fight, even though they said what they said afterwards, which might have been a little fibbing, maybe a little bit, but he acted like a guy who thought he was losing, and he's being so aggressive. But I think judges automatically sometimes fall into the trap of giving rounds to a guy just for being aggressive, instead of looking closer at it. And I think that might have been the case where they gave him all the late rounds for being aggressive, he being Taylor, of course, and they missed that there was some rounds there, like I found one in the 11th. I gave it to Catterall. And where, Taylor was aggressive. Yeah, he was looking to body slam him, basically. But he got off some combinations. Bop, 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 bop. And that was it. But it was enough. So that's my story. And I want to finish with what I started with about the referee. Yeah, he was too involved. He was crazy. It got a little nutty, I think. But he's calling all these things. he's calling a little tap on the stomach. All right, now listen, it was a little harder than a love tap. I get it. But still, it's a little tap on the stomach. He calls that, right? But he doesn't call Catterall hitting the guy when he's on the floor in the knockdown. He hits Taylor with a late punch, a very late punch, off the head. I mean, it wasn't a devastating punch, but it was an illegal punch, and it caught him, and he doesn't do a damn thing. He doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, give him a warning. He could have took a point away. He was taking points away, for people freaking picking their nose. He could have taken a point for a guy hitting a guy egregiously while he's on the ground. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I know you don't put much stock into the punch stats, but the punch stats were interesting. Just that Catterall landed a ton more punches than Taylor. I think. Like
I don't get caught up in those, but I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I can't get caught up too much in those because it's human beings doing that. At the end of the day, counting on their eyes to be able to differentiate between a block, the glaze, the missed, punch, and a really clean punch. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not something that I would depend on. I never depended on that. I depended on just who I thought won, who I thought lost, by what I saw. But listen, I get it. It's a graphic. It's been used for a long time now. I think people get too caught up in it sometimes. I'm not knocking it. I know people are making their living with it, and I know the people who are making their living at it, and who started that thing. And I like both of them. They were good guys. And one of them has got control of it now, and he's obviously done well with it. He's taken care of his family with it. It's a thing to be proud of that he was able to develop that and do what he's done with it. But again, it's just an additional device, an additional graphic that you can use as you want to use it casually. But I wouldn't depend on it. And get caught up with it. And this one, is it accurate to the point? I don't know that amount of punches are accurate, but is it accurate in a way that it shows who was busier? Hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. But you know what? I could have told you that. You could have told us that. That one guy was busier with actual punches, not just slamming a guy all over the place, not just throwing a punch like you're trying to knock down 5 walls, and meanwhile you don't hit nothing. And that's what Taylor was doing way too much of. Throwing punches like he's trying to win that prize, the stuffed animal at the fair, for his girlfriend. Yeah, you remember that, Ken? When you had so many of those stuffed animals that you needed a room for them. Come on.
Next time, I meant to say when we were talking about the Ukraine thing. If this thing keeps going, maybe we can get our resident, one of the fans of the show, Ben Anderson, a war correspondent for Vice. He always has a good take on these things and what the end game is. But to the fans, guys, thanks for being with us. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, share. Also, please check out our weekly email newsletter. You can find more on that in the show notes. We share weekly thoughts on all the fights. We'll also announce the new merch launching. We're going to announce it through the email list. So if you want to get a heads up on the merch drop, please sign up for the email list. You'll get the newsletter. You'll find out when the merch is dropping. I expect it's going to sell out quickly again. Recognize this. We're a 3-man team in addition to producing the show and putting this out every week. We all have a lot of things going on. So we're going to do our best with the shirts, but get on that newsletter so that you hear about them first, so we don't run out before. If you really want one, I want to make sure that you get them. With that, Teddy, thanks for doing this.
One more
I know
thing.
You've got a busy week.
Have someone step up as a maybe. I think it was a nice little segment, or news segment, quick jabs. Maybe somebody steps up with a sponsor so we can keep this segment going. I liked it. I thought it was. I thought it was cool. I thought it was.
And if you like it, if you don't like it, weigh in with some comments. We appreciate the productive comments. Give us some ideas if you like the name, the format, some topics, etc., etc.
Can I give you my idea for a sponsor?
Yes.
All right. Bounty towels.
We already gave you one free one. When you see sales start to surge this month, you can recognize where that surge came from. With that, guys, thanks for being with us. We'll be back next week. Check out the UFC this weekend, and we'll have a lot to discuss on Monday. Thanks, guys.